Good morning, YouTube. Today, we're going to continue working on the 355 project car. We have Josh here from Exotic Power and Performance, and we're going to hook up his SD1 and see if there's anything else wrong with the computers before we pull the engine out.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, that is Josh, and this is Adam. It's hiding over here. And this is our Project 355, and the plan right now is that we're going to do a full engine rebuild. So this thing has load compression. We've already determined that using a leak or a compression test. So we now know that there are some computer issues. We actually just replaced the mass airflow sensor, and we also replaced the spark plugs and spark plug wires. It also has high compression on some solar. So yeah, we know that there's some bad things going on. Josh talked about this in one of the previous videos. So today he's got his little SD1, I would say, antique.
Yes.
And we're going to hook it up to this thing and see if there's anything else wrong with it. Because really, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we aren't going to have new problems from doing the engine out and the engine rebuild. We want to make sure that all the electronics are good to go, so that once we actually do rebuild everything, it starts up and runs properly. And then we're not chasing our tails trying to find out what went wrong that was already wrong. All right, so in the last video, Josh had this here, and unfortunately we were missing a wire or something, and it wasn't quite working right, but it's working now. This is like the official way to like check on the computers on these things. You know, like this is the proper computer. And unfortunately, they're kind of hard to find. People don't have these things anymore. They're kind of all dead, which, I mean.
In the 20 years I've been working on these cars, this is the second one I've ever held in my hand.
Second one, nice. We're gonna plug it in and see what is up with this car's computers and hopefully figure out if there's anything else wrong, what else we need to replace. Like I said, we already replaced the mass airflow sensor. That actually cleaned up the idle a lot. So if you saw the last video, the idle was too low. It was at like 600 or 700 RPMs. It should be at like 950, 1,000.
Because we're idling at really 600 low. RPM or whatever.
Now it's idling properly closer to 1,000, but we still don't know if there's anything else wrong with the car. So we would love to know if everything's good, like I said, before we start tearing this engine apart.
All right, so I forgot to bring the Bible today, but we got some screenshots. So here you can see these are the sorts of data we're going to be looking at while we're running the car. And part of this is to make sure that our mass airflow and all of that is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And part of it is to prove that even when you've got 3 bad cylinders in the motor, most of these numbers are still going to be within acceptable parameters,
right?
Because of the lack of sensitivity of the engine management system in these earlier cars. That's why it's important to go through the full process of evaluating the engine health, because you can't just kind of gloss over it and get a clear idea of what's going on. Now, a real modern car like your 458 or my Alpha, even probably the 996 Turbo, the emissions restrictions are a lot more severe, right?
Yeah.
So to keep up with that, the computers have much more detailed logic and computational capabilities. So it's more probable that one of these cars are going to start throwing misfire faults or high emissions faults due to lambda readings and stuff. If you've got some bad cylinders, it's a lot more likely. But in these early cars,
yeah, it's not going to know.
This thing will run just fine until, like we found, either an electrical component is full on dead, or the engine just like shuts off on the side of the road.
Yeah, because unfortunately, like the compression's low, but it's not like toast.
Exactly.
Like it's not like 80 psi where it's gonna like totally not even combust.
Exactly. So I mean, you may get some like catalytic converter efficiency faults or something, depending on.
I can see where you could get over temps, because if it's blowing unspent fuel into the cats, it's gonna heat those cats up a lot.
Yeah. You can also get low efficiency faults too. There's a couple of things that could happen, but that's a lot more difficult to trace and diagnose based on. You got to check engine light,
right?
Because you could have bad lambda sensors, you could have a bad catalytic converter, you could have a bad fuel pump, bad fuel pressure regulator, bad injectors, bad plug wires. Anything could cause the engine to run poorly enough to start having bad emissions out the tailpipe. So this is a good exercise to show you that the car will seem to run fine even though it really needs an engine refresh. So we'll use these parameters while the engine's running, make sure all the calculations are within spec, and then we know, and generally speaking, we've got a pretty healthy engine management system, and then we can move on with overhauling the engine and worry about, you know, whatever happens later, you know, because we talk about maybe changing some of the temp sensors and stuff, because we had some funky readings when we did the manual test with the
when
Bible.
it went to like negative 47 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on there. So we'll probably change some of those temp sensors because they're hard to get to. So the time to do it's while the engine's out and apart, and they're inexpensive parts. So a little CYA so it doesn't bite us in the butt down the road.
Yep.
And otherwise, hopefully everything's good now.
Ooh, C colon. You can't, that is a hard screen to see. You
Yes.
have to look at it like just right. I wonder if you can like get a new screen for it. I don't know if that would be even worth it.
I don't know.
Probably would break it.
No one might left. Yeah, the goal right now is to work on getting this all duplicated and loaded into a virtual machine and put it on a modern laptop and see if I can get it to all run
Yeah.
on modern.
So this is like probably a 92 computer maybe.
Yeah. Now let's light her up.
All right. I'm gonna fire it up.
Fires in the holes.
Oh yeah, the idle is way better.
Yeah, that's proper.
It's not like
It's not surging. It's actually at a good RPM.
for 100.
Yeah.
Obviously, the numbers are going to be off right now because we're in cold start mode. You can hear the air pump running.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all the tests are done at operating temperature with a coolant temp of 80 to 90 C. Right now, we're only at, let's see, engine temperature 44, 45 C, so we're still warming up.
Is that the highest contrast we got?
I don't know.
Oh.
Is that better?
Yeah. Is that better for you?
Yeah,
Yeah, that works.
you can actually read it.
Oh my God, we can read it.
I've tried to touch as few buttons
Yeah,
on this
right?
as possible.
No, I know. I was
just
a
in
little
case.
nervous with touching that, believe it or not. I was like, I don't want to break it.
I'd say it could be the last time that screen ever shows anything.
So is this like the original, the OG real-time read?
Yep. Yeah, this is what the dealers were using in the 90s to work on these cars.
All right, we're at 80 plus degrees centigrade. Oh yeah, the thermostat must open because it's coming down. Now it's at 78.
1,050 RPMs, look at that. Exactly where
Yep.
Josh said it would be.
Yep, 1040 plus or minus 20, right? So we're there.
Yep.
Injection timing is 3 to 3.7 milliseconds.
So we're at 3.7, 3.6,
Same
3.3.
with floating around right there, yeah. Ignition advance, 0 degrees.
Yep.
Yeah, we're at 0 degrees. ECU supply voltage, 11 to 14 volts, 13.4, so we got good alternator. We already verified our running temperature is about right. Relative throttle, 0%. Supplemental air valve valley, relay, off, we're good there. And so our load calculation is based off the mass airflow sensor.
Oh, okay.
That's engine RPM versus throttle position versus airflow through the mass.
Gotcha.
So that's a calculated value, 1.35 to 1.7 milliseconds, and we're right at 1.7 milliseconds.
Oh yeah, yep.
All
It
of
looks pretty happy.
Yeah. Intake air quantity 42 to 45 kilograms. We're at 45. It's hard to really evaluate the O2 sensors just watching the numbers swing because an O2 sensor voltage ripples.
Yeah.
So you got some sampling delay and whatnot. But the fact that we're in closed loop,
It's a good sign.
yep, that definitely means the lambdas are working good. And we've got good coolant temperature sensor temps, which we already know. Cat temp should be 290 to 340 C.
Oh, they're hot.
Yeah, they're a little bit hot.
I wonder, that could be because of incomplete combustion in the lower compression cylinders, you think?
Or the cats are aged out.
Oh.
Or, you know, the temperature sensing equipment's a little off. We don't have any slowdown lights. It looks like we have aftermarket catalytic converters, so
Yeah,
we'll disregard those values a little bit because they're aftermarket, they're non-factory.
Okay.
So that means they're not going to be ceramic brick and they're not going to be the same cell count, you know, other things like that. In modern EF5, additive and multiplicative, right? That is basically just like the TJ correction. Those are adjustments the computer's making to the fuel injection to make sure
Okay.
we're getting the correct amount. In modern computers, this is all done in a percentage.
Gotcha.
On this early one, they just give us a sliding bar graph. This is the description here. The bar should be nearly in the middle of the screen.
Ooh. This one's way over to the right.
Yeah, our additives are way over.
So is the TJ, although that one's moving around a lot.
Yep,
The multiplicative is fairly centered.
yep. We'll want to keep an eye on that and see how that changes after the engine overhaul. It'll be interesting to see if that additive changes. Plus, we'll service the fuel injectors and make sure the fuel pump's in good shape and put fuel filter in it. And, we're gonna do a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
So that's something worth noting, that the additive is pretty high.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
Otherwise,
be curious to see what these numbers are after the rebuild.
yeah. Well, now we got it documented. So.
Yep.
Because I did not bring my vintage printer to print out these.
Your dot matrix printer.
Yeah.
Probably taking 7 minutes to print that.
You've got little dots,
Yeah.
and if there's a fault, a dot goes dark.
Okay, no dots so far, no dark dots so far. Oh no! Idle speed adjustment.
Of course, we haven't done a clear since we've messed with everything.
Oh yeah.
Can this clear? Or is this too?
Yeah, this will clear it.
Oh, and it's got the MAF sensor.
Yeah, you got MAF fault and idle speed adjuster faults, which we can surmise are from us messing with
Well, say
everything.
you unplug the damn thing while it's running.
Remember when I unplugged it while it was running?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
What are you unplugging?
That's the idle speed.
Oh, okay.
Definitely sounds worse.
Yep.
Probably would cause a fault.
Absolutely. And it's obviously not malfunctioning because we tested it before and we can tell now. So those are
Yep,
leftover
yep.
faults. Otherwise, no faults.
Well, I guess we should clear them.
Yeah, we can do that.
The Italian check, clear them, see if they come back.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, the parameters are all pretty decent. The motor sounds good, even though we know for a fact that we have a problem with
Yeah.
a few cylinders.
Low compression on 2, high compression on 2.
Yep. Page up is
It's 50-50. It's 50% good engine.
Honestly, I think all things considered, it's in a lot better health than we thought it would be right now.
Yeah, I'm impressed it can run that good.
I know.
There you go. Gone.
All done.
The thing seems to actually communicate fairly well. Like
Yes.
it's faster than your Texa, which is interesting.
Yeah, the Texa used to work pretty well, but it's gone through a few software updates. I think.
Maybe it's these older computers it has a hard time with.
Yeah, I think something got messed up with the early car stuff. So now we know we have a airbag issue, right?
Yeah.
Oh, can you even scan the airbag module?
Yeah, this will do all the computers in this car.
It's sweet. And we could check the suspension too.
Yep.
Oh, dude.
That's why I had to get this, because the Texa only did engine
yeah.
and I think ABS. It didn't do gearbox,
Yeah.
convertible top, anything else.
Okay.
Plug into the correct connector.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We're still plugged into the engine computer, so
Oh.
that's not going to communicate with the airbag so well.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is all pre-CAN bus stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. The ABS is up there by the ABS module. Yeah, there we go. So you can tell the ABS connector because all the ABS stuff is jacketed with a yellow cover on the wiring
Oh, interesting.
because, safety system. All right, so
Got some faults.
yeah, passenger main circuit, a battery voltage problem, and a lamp problem. It's a really common problem in these early 90s cars, 355, 456, 550. The airbag modules, like most computers, have capacitors in them, right? That's why no matter what happens, you have to have the scan tool to delete the fault memory.
Oh, because it keeps it in memory.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, now that it's 25 years old, those capacitors are discharging. So that's actually recognized as a fault in the computer. It comes up as a main power fault. And even though you go and pin it all out and you've got ground and you got power, you've got a main power, it's because it's an internal power failure.
Capacitor can't charge up and hold enough charge.
Yep.
And so it says, hey, I don't have enough voltage.
Yep.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So we're going to see how this works out by...
Well, you can even clear the stored ones.
Yeah.
Oh, got rid of some of them.
Yep. passenger main circuit. But that might mean that the passenger airbag is either disconnected or has a problem. So we got a passenger airbag issue that needs to be diagged and repaired, whether it's a disconnected connector, dirty pins,
Something.
bad igniter. Yeah, we don't know, so we'll have to work on that at some point.
Boo.
So then the next one is the suspension. Josh, remember where the suspension connector is, because he didn't think about checking all that before he came in.
That's what's funny is it's like
And
no,
almost.
there's limits to what I'll do.
There are a few limits.
Like
few.
2. All right, so here we are in the suspensione. Right rear actuator not in position. Locked left rear, and then speed signal not detected. So I pulled
The right rear you pulled, yeah.
Yeah, I pulled both of them, and they both looked okay. It may be actually bad actuators themselves. Delayed. That brilliant.
Delayed. It literally says delayed. Hold on, you gotta get that. Delayed. That's awesome. Oh, they cleared.
So now it's up to whether or not you guys wanted to try to take the car for a road test and see if it acted up on the suspension again before you took it all apart, if you want to wait until after the engine refresh is done and then decide, because there's obviously an airbag thing also to look at, so there's a couple other things. So for me as a shop, right, I want a complete evaluation of the car now.
Before you get started.
Yeah, so as much estimate is given to the customer up front before we dig in. Any parts that need to be ordered, sourced, found, rebuilt, repaired are all in process, so that way when I'm done and the engine's running, I'm not now adding timeline to the end of the job unnecessarily, would be why I would do that.
You think if we drove it around his neighborhood a lap, that would be enough to kick it off if it's broken?
It should.
Because I don't want to take it out like on the highway or anything, since it's not our car.
Oh, you're talking to the wrong guy about that. Pretty much any time a major's getting done, if the AC compressor doesn't look brand new,
Send it out.
I service it while I'm doing the major, because if there's customer might not notice a missing 50 horsepower, but god damn it, he knows when his AC's not cold anymore.
Yeah, it's 100% accurate. What the hell is this shit?
I was doing 35 miles an hour at 5,000 RPM in second gear down the boulevard, and I was sweating. What kind of chump do I look like to you, mister?
You want to drive it? Because I trust your butt to determine, your ass indicators more used to these cars than mine.
Sure.
That didn't last long. Apparently, the suspension light already came on. Well, all right. That sucks. I guess we might as well check the AC, right? That's blowing out cold. Well, I guess this will be a good thing to see if anything else comes back before we tear it apart, right?
Yeah. I love a 355 manual. These motors are so crisp with the ITV throttles.
This thing needs an exhaust.
Oh yeah.
It would scream. But it's good. It's pleasant.
Oh man, a full Inconel Klein on this bad boy.
Yeah, it ride's really pretty decent.
Oh, slow down light's flashing.
The slowdown light's oh, we already got a slowdown light?
Yep.
Well, good thing we did take it out then, right?
Yep.
Jeez, that didn't take long. We haven't even made it a mile. maybe a mile. What if he'll go into limp mode like he had it?
I think it just died on him with the bad mass airflow and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that slowdown's got to be the cats then, right?
Yes.
They're probably too hot.
Well, it should be, otherwise it's just a malfunction, but they were reading hotter than, when we did that initial
Yeah, they were
check.
100 degrees C higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even really giving it much beans since it needs a timing belt.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got a blinky slowdown light, an airbag light, and a suspension light. I'll be curious to see what the temps are, because there's two different fault modes for slowdown light, right? One is actual over temperature. The other is an electronics failure, right?
Well, at least the AC works.
Yep, blows cold air. on a drive like this, I'm looking mostly for what we call drivability, right?
Yeah.
Smoothness, hesitation, hiccups.
And we're back with failures.
Failed successfully.
Yeah. Boo! It says 543 on that side, on the right side. That's the side with the low compression.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Cat converter temperature, then cat converter protection ECU. So we have a fault for the ECU, so it needs a new temp box.
So the ECU box is bad.
Yep.
For the O2 sensor.
No, for the cat temp sensor, because it has that little interface box.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So it wants a new interface box for the right bank.
Oh, okay.
This side, that's reading high.
Okay.
Yep.
Should we swap it to make sure that that's what it is?
Usually a good idea.
Okay.
I wonder if the YouTube geniuses here that we hang out with can surmise how a $5,000 cam belt service just turned into a $40,000 visit.
Yeah.
You got 3 bad compression cylinders. You got 2 bad suspension actuator issues. You got 1 bad airbag. It needed plugs, wires, and a mass airflow sensor just to get it running.
We have bad temp sender. Yeah, we got a lot of bad stuff, and we haven't even done anything yet.
And it's not even an F1 convertible car.
God, could you imagine how many more things would go wrong?
I can because I own one.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, mine showed up in pieces, so I get to find all this stuff after mine runs. I don't get to find out before. I bought it in boxes.
Oh boy.
So yes, I can imagine, and it's gonna be irritating.
Oh boy. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
all of these cars, when it's done, it'll be sweet.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, there you go. That's a really good example of how these things get out of control all of a sudden is, you know, you get a couple of warning lights you've ignored for a while, and now we go through and here we are.
Yeah, we'll have to see which ones the owner wants to fix, which ones we need to fix. Well, obviously we know which ones we need to fix, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously the slow down light, you know, impedes the car from functioning properly, and the airbag warning light will prevent you from getting your safety inspection in a state where you're required to get safety inspection.
Yep.
So those are, you know,
those two are pretty important.
Yeah, those are pretty important. The suspension, you know, it's not really going to impede. As you notice, the car feels like it rides okay. You know, some cars, like very modern cars, when the suspension goes bad, they either go full hard or full soft.
Oh, yeah.
So the car becomes unusable when you have a suspension warning. In
Yeah.
this case, the adjustment in the shock valving is fairly subtle on, you know, this generation of cars. So most people don't even notice when that system isn't working perfectly.
All right, YouTube. Well, there we have it, the diagnosis. So basically, we're green lighted to start tearing stuff apart. We're gonna have to diagnose the O2 sensor ECU and figure that out. That's something we can do after we've done the rebuild, or we could probably even like cat temp ECU. Sorry, not the O2 sensor ECU. Cat temp ECU. And that one we can probably just do a swap. We move it left to right, see if it follows. If it does, then the ECU is probably bad. We can also clean up the contacts and see if that takes care of it. So we got a couple solutions on that. So that might be the only thing that we kind of leave for the moment. The suspension stuff we'll have to probably look into. See what the O2 or the airbag we'll look into. So got a few things we got to look into, but overall, ready to start tearing it apart. So obviously, you're going to want to stay tuned for that video, which will be coming up very soon. Go visit normalguysupercar.com if you have any supercar parts or services that you would need, and also use the code NGS10. You'll take off 10%. And of course, go visit Josh's website, exotic-power.com. So you can see he doesn't know anything about Ferraris, and you should never hire him for any services, period.
I was born yesterday, and I learned everything I know from the turnip truck.
So other than that, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be wrenching on this very soon, so you're going to want to stay tuned.
It will be sweet.
Indeed it will.